Hi, I'm Yolanda and welcome to Speak On. Today I'm joined by model and skincare writer Rafika, actress and singer Chrissy, blogger Nicole, and model, writer and mental health advocate Lucy. Welcome to part two. We've been talking about our Me Too moments and the impact of that kind of movement and that conversation globally. When the allegations were, let's say, tumbling out, a lot of people made comments that could be considered victim blaming. And we're going to focus on two comments in particular from two high-profile women. I'm going to read them out and then after we'll discuss. So the first comment was from Angela Lansbury, and for those of you who aren't of the right age to know who she is, she is the voice of Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast, because I'm just trying to think of how old you are. When I was younger, she was on Murder, She Wrote. So she is, I mean, we'll put this into context, she is like, I want to say in her 90s, so
yeah,
just
like
put some...
96 or something.
So, okay, she said, we must sometimes take blame, women. I really do think that. Although it's awful to say we can't make ourselves look as attractive as possible without being knocked down and raped. Oh, Mrs. Potts. Okay, and then the next comment is from fashion designer Donna Karan. You look at everything all over the world today and how women are dressing and what they are asking by just presenting themselves the way they do. What are they asking for? Trouble? So I'll let everybody take a collective breath. Right, okay, cool. Literally, that was so audible. Okay, so I'm going to start with Rafika.
Oh, gosh.
What would be your response, your initial response to those comments?
Well, how I dress never justifies, a guy approaching me or taking from me what is rightfully mine to give to whoever I choose. So what I wear is never a question. How I look should never be a question. If you find me attractive, tell me that's fine. But don't think that you are therefore entitled to come up and take from me what is mine to give to whom I choose.
Yeah, it's a great statement. Yes, girl.
Sorry, I feel really passionate about
That's
this.
good. Yeah, we're all feeling it, trust me. Yeah. Okay, so do you think that... I was actually say, I'm going to direct this at Lucy. I'm going to say, do you think that when we've talked about this a little bit in part one, are those attitudes reflected elsewhere? That kind
what
of
do you mean?
The kind of victim blaming. Obviously, these two women have said it in that context, but are these attitudes reflected? Like, for example, if you were to describe what was happening to you, do you think that people initially just like come back with victim blaming and like kind of subtle ways?
100%. I mean, even I won't go into details, but I've had something happen to me where police did have to get involved, and I was interviewed by two female police officers, and they still asked me what I was wearing and if I'd been drinking, and I couldn't believe that was what they were asking me, because the male police officers were like beside themselves, really upset that this had happened, and here are my sisters asking me what I was wearing, and I just thought, I just can't get my head around that thinking, because I mean, if you go back Victorian times, women walking around in huge long dresses, nothing showing, but women were still raped. So how does that work? I mean, fashions change. You have your legs out now, I don't. Does that mean that one of us is more likely to get raped or wants it? Like, how does that work? Where does the line come? It's crazy.
It's weird. It seems to be some kind of internalized thing that maybe we've started to, I don't know, develop as women over time, because obviously we're always kind of made to feel responsible for what happens to us. So I can only imagine that with Donna and Angela, that is the case, that it's become this internalized, almost internalized misogyny. You've become, I suppose, you're implicit in your own like demise almost, and implicit in your own, oppression at times. So I'm going to ask Nicole this. So do we have a responsibility for our own safety as women?
It's unfortunate because yes, but I don't agree that we should. I think that we should be allowed to walk where we want, when we want, wear what we want. But the way society is structured, it's structured in the favour of the patriarchy. And that is something that we've all come to abide by. So I don't agree that we should have to be cautious and watch out for our safety, because I do feel like a rapist is a rapist, whichever way you spin it, like a victim is a victim. But it is structured so that it's like, oh, well, like I'm not gonna walk down my road at 2 o'clock in the morning just in case.
Yeah.
It is that kind of culture that we live in, and I feel like that's a shared world culture, which is really sad.
You shouldn't be walking home on your own this
Yeah.
late at night. You can't just walk freely and
And
be.
you'd never say
Yeah.
that to a guy, would you?
No.
You'd never say, oh, babe, text me when you're home.
Yeah, don't wear
No,
that
we
white
say
Yeah.
that, but we always do that when girls go out, don't we?
Yeah.
And that's
True
really
story.
sad.
Yeah.
Why,
It is sad.
why do we have to do that?
And then I'd say, direct this to Chrissy. What would be if Angela Lansbury and Donna Karen were here, what would you say to them about that comment? As
Block and delete.
Yeah. But as a woman from you're like a different generation to them,
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
else is there. What would you say to them about that?
I think there just needs to be a bit more liberal, a bit more understanding. They're from an era, basically the dinosaur age, especially Angela.
Yeah, oh bless her.
I love her, great, but like to just come out with those kind of statements, like you have to be able to back it up. I mean, I don't know if she has replied to anybody's criticism to her comment, so I'm not sure, but I just think she's from an era where you literally did as they were told. Now, somebody of our era, maybe in 90 years, I think it'll be a completely different comment.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'd say to her, to be honest, because I just don't agree with it in any way.
Yeah.
So
That's fair enough. And do you have any thoughts on this or anything to add, Rafika?
Any final points? I think no matter what we wear, like the points being made by these two ladies, you're letting us as women know that men can't be held responsible because they can't control their urges.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
bullshit, please.
Yeah, and that's such a damaging.
Yeah. So you're letting lads know, young boys, it's okay if you want to touch that. If you like what you see, go ahead and grab it. Go ahead and take it. It's not right.
That's fair enough. It's like they say as well, it's not about teaching girls to dress appropriately, it's about teaching guys to stop behaving inappropriately, essentially. And there's Badass Cross Stitch who have the boys will be boys, and it's got a crossed out line. It's like boys will be held accountable for their fucking actions.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for today, because I know this is quite an emotive subject and it can bring up a lot of issues for us and for people watching it. We're sharing kind of fairly personal stories, and I suppose it's something that we go through all the time, annoyingly, and as Rafika says, it grinds our gears. And in this, one thing I think to take away from this, in the broad spectrum of behaviour, from unsolicited comments or pictures through to sexual assault, any situation where you're made to feel uncomfortable or unsafe is completely unacceptable. And hopefully talking about this will mean that everybody realises that and will have the courage and feel supported enough to be able to come forward and talk about these things. To speak up. There are loads of organisations that can give support and information, and that information will be below the video. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.